this week's Watercolor Wednesday. I'm here a little bit early today just because today is a little bit of a busy day with Halloween festivities going on. So we'll be back to our normal time around 10:30 next week. So in today's video, I really want to show you how I approach a reference photo. This is something that a lot of people have questions about. How do I look at my reference photo and then translate that into a painting? So I found this photo on, well, let me show you the bigger one. I found this photo on Unsplash. And this is a royalty-free, or not royalty, commercial-free use website. And I'm going to show you how I kind of approach painting this. And just talking it out really quick before it goes away, I love the colors in this, so that's definitely something I'm going to be paying attention to. The bright orange, the soft kind of lavender pink, and I like the flowers. I might change them up. I might use the same ones. I don't know yet. So I know for sure I'm not going to paint the entire painting or the entire picture as it is, but I do want to use this as a reference. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'm using my Arches cold press paper. I've grabbed my size 12 round brush, and let's just go ahead and dive in. My kids are about to wake up, so I apologize if they come down asking for some breakfast. I'm going to try and go quickly here. So already on my palette, I had an orange that we mixed last week when we painted pumpkins. And I'm going to add in a little bit of pink here. This is quinacridone rose. And I'm just going to start by painting this flower here in the center. And it's supposed to be a zinnia, or zinnia, however you pronounce it. And I've painted the center here, and now I'm just going to go in and paint some petals. And I'm not trying to be too careful just because I know that when I add in details later, it'll all kind of come to life. So I'm okay if it's looking a little bit like a blob right now. Okay, and then the center of that zinnia is kind of this yellow color. So I'm grabbing some isowindolene yellow. I'm just going to lightly fill in that center. And then I'm just going to leave it. We're going to let it dry and come back to it. The other color that this really focuses on is that really beautiful lavender pink. So I'm pulling from Brilliant Pink. And then I'm going to mix in, this was already on my palette, and it's Raw Umber Violet. And I wasn't planning on mixing that in, but I kind of like this muted purpley color that that's giving me. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water to that to lighten it up a bit. And then there was another kind of zinnia flower here. Add a little bit more pink into that. Okay, let's look back at the reference photo really quick. So you can see I focused on that really bright orange flower, and then I have this second flower that's kind of more facing away from us. And now I'm going to add in some roses and some of the filler flowers before I start to add in greenery. Now I have this bright orange, which is kind of taking over everything, and these colors are going to act like a support here. And this orange is going to be kind of our focal color. Okay, now is where I get to decide how I want this to go. So in the reference photo, let me show you, there are some roses pretty up high, but I want to keep everything kind of contained right around here. And so I'm going to add in another kind of yellowish flower here. I know that. And so I think I'm going to add another rose like right here and just kind of keep everything contained toward the center of my picture. I don't want things to come all the way up here. So we're going to go ahead and try that out. I've changed the color slightly just to add a little variety. Add in a little bit more pink to that. Just because I don't want everything to be super matchy here. Too much water there. And then down here, we're going to add in that kind of yellow flower. This one you can really see the center. And then the leaves or the petals come out from there. And I'm just using my brush to create those petal shapes. I'm not like outlining or anything like that. I don't want to fuss with it too much. Okay, so now we've got 4 flowers down, and I think that's pretty good for larger flowers. So now if I'm going to add any more, I want them to be smaller supporting flowers. And I've got these orange and yellow here, and I've got the purple up here. And so now I want to bring some purple down here and some yellow or orange up here, just to help balance everything out. And it does not have to be in flowers. That's the beauty. It can be in leaves, it can be in berries, it can be in a little sprig. Just as long as I have a touch of that color up here to help balance it all out, that's going to help a ton. And these are the kinds of things that I talk about in my composition course. And I'll be talking a lot about it next month because we're going to be focusing a lot on composition. All of the Watercolor Wednesdays next month are going to be composition focused, so I'm really excited about it. Okay, now down here, I'm going to mix things up a little bit instead of adding another flower because I'm wishing that I hadn't added this, but that's okay. You'll learn as you go. I am going to just add a couple of leaves here in that purpley color. And now I'm going to darken that color with my raw umber violet, make it more of a brownish purple. And add in some more leaves here. Now this is where I'm kind of taking some creative liberty because you can't really see a lot of the greenery in the picture, but I know I want to have some, I say greenery, it's not green, but you know what I mean. We'll probably add in some green here in a minute. Okay, and you can see that my painting is kind of off to this side, and I'm okay with that. Sometimes that happens when you're painting, you want to have it be centered, and it just doesn't work out that way. I'm leaving enough of a border along the side that if I wanted to trim off, an inch on this side, it will look centered. Or if I want to frame this painting, I can, have a mat and then kind of scooch my painting around until it looks centered in the mat. So those are a couple tricks. Or if you want to be extra fancy, you can digitize your painting and then, resize as needed. So let's add in some green here. And I still want it to be, I don't want the green to add in another color here. And so we're gonna make sure this is a very, very muted green. And I've mixed this orange. You only need a tiny touch of it. And I added too much. So you can see I've got this kind of brownish blob up here. But we will fix that. Okay, and if it looks brown on the palette, it will probably look green on the paper. I know that sounds really weird, but it does look a little bit on the brown side, but that's okay. I just wanted a little touch of green, not a lot. So right now I'm just trying to get everything down on the paper, and then we're going to go back in and add details, and that'll help clean everything up a little bit. I know I'm moving quickly. But that is why we have the replay. You can go back and watch as many times as you need to and slow it down. Okay, now I'm starting to get a really good balance. I've got these 3 points of yellow here. I've got these 3 points of purple. I want to add in just a touch of orange. I still want this to be my focus, but I still want it to have just that connecting element somewhere else in the painting. And it might be that I add orange detail here and here. So I'm going to just hold off on that for a moment. And let's see, I just want this to feel rounded out before I start adding more details. Okay, now I'm just using raw umber violet. I haven't mixed anything else in. I use this color all the time. It's so good. Okay, now we've got a couple of these little sprigs in place. And I'm going to add in a couple more things, but I don't want it to take over, so I'm just going to make sure it's really light in the background. Okay. Let's take a look at the reference photo again. And it's very different. My painting is really, really different, but that's okay. You want to take creative liberties. You want to make it your own. If you want to do an exact copy, that's okay too, but this is just how I've decided to approach this one. Okay, so now I'm going to start going in and adding in some detail here. And this is, I believe, cadmium red, and then a little bit of deep scarlet. No, this is Pearly Maroon. I apologize. I'm still relearning all my colors after taking quite a bit of a break from filming. I'm just going to come in and add some small details. I don't want to outline everything, but I do want there to be some definition here. Okay, now I'm going to go down here and do the same thing over here. Adding in a bit of this red so that'll tie together. Actually, I'm going to add in a bit of raw umber violet. I want this to be a little bit more muted and dark. Sorry about that. Okay, let's see here. All right, I think that's enough of a touch of orange that feels a little more connected and balanced. All right, and now I'm going to go in and add detail here. I don't want to add too many details because I really like the color bleeding that's happening right here. And so I want to add some details so that there's that depth there, but I really, really don't want to take away from these color bleeds that are happening. This was still wet, so you can see that it's kind of going to fan out and bleed into the paint I've already put down. It doesn't have the definition that it has down here, so I'm just going to wait for that to dry completely, and then I'll come back and add a little bit more to that. I'm not too worried about it. And now my favorite part, adding the details on the leaves. And while I'm painting these, I just remembered that next week, so on my email list, I'm going to start to do a quarterly email, just replacing one of the weekly emails that I send. And it's going to be really fun. We're going to have a giveaway for subscribers, and you'll have the chance to be featured as an artist. I have one artist that I cannot wait for you to meet. She's amazing, and she's part of our community. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for that. So if you're not on the email list, I will have a link down below, and you can go ahead and sign up there. Okay. Let's see, just a couple more details here. Some details. All right, now I'm just going to look at this one more time and just make sure that everything is where I want it to be. Here's where we started. So you can kind of see the inspiration, and then here's where we've ended up so far. And if you like this kind of style where I walk you through how I'm painting from a reference photo, I do this in my Intro to Watercolor Intro to Watercolor Flowers course. And we go through all different kinds of leaves and flowers and just paint them individually so you can get a really good foundation for painting flowers moving forward. If you go to snowberrydesignco.com, all of the links can be found there. All right, now I'm liking what's happening here. There's a lot of depth happening, but there's not a lot of depth happening with my leaves. So I'm just going to go in and add just a couple little spots that are darker, just to help add some of that depth back in. And maybe up here, I go darker with my leaf. I'm just going to paint right over the top of it. These muted, deep colors might not be for everybody, but I love them. Okay. So now that I've kind of changed my painting a little bit, it just feels a little bit more cohesive to me. Okay, there we go. And then we wait for those to dry. I can add more details, but this is pretty much how it's going to end up. And so I will check out if there are any questions. I'll answer those really quick, and then I'll end the video for today. And we'll see you next week. So let's see. So, did you take a break from YouTube or painting altogether? I took a break from YouTube and I took a break from painting. There was a lot going on, 2020 was a crazy year for everybody, but on top of that, we had to quickly move from where we were living, so I lost my studio space, and I was pregnant most of 2020. I had a baby in January of this year, and so things were just busy. I just had to take a break and, give myself space. And now I'm in a place where we've moved to a new home, and so I have a studio space again, and my baby's a little bit older. He's better about taking naps, so I've found a good juggling balance here. And so Wednesday mornings really work well for me to film. The other thing is my husband, he used to edit all of my videos, and he works full-time now. And so that kind of put a kink in everything too. So now I film live, and so that takes away the having to edit aspect. So we've found something that works for us. Yes, it's definitely a transition period, but we're making it work. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, if you're not on the email list, you'll want to be on it, because $25 gift card to Blick every quarter I'm going to be giving away. And the artist feature is going to be really fun. I'll be sharing what I've been working on. I'll be sharing some helpful tips and a video roundup, the upcoming schedule for the next 3 months. So it's going to be really fun. And then every week I share what the Watercolor Wednesday is going to be, as well as any other relevant tips. So go ahead and sign up. I'll leave a link down in the description box below if you're not already part of that. And thanks again for watching. I'll see you next week.